Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Oh, amazing stuff. The District Sentinel, Sam Sachs and Sam Knight started this news co-op here in Washington, D.C. Sam comes on our program once a week and just, kind of brings us up to date on what's going on. Their slogan is a news co-op in D.C., so you don't have to be. And it's the website is districtsentinel.com. And they've got a piece out that was written by Sam Knight, published on May 9th, titled National Parks to Seek Out and Recognize Corporate Funding Under New Plan. Now, let me just give you a little background on this, which Sam lays out in his story. The Republicans, first of all, let's go back to David Stockman and Ronald Reagan, since we're talking about Ronald Reagan in the context of Donald Trump. That David Stockman, in his book, which he wrote after he left the White House, and actually he's been a guest on this program a number of times. It's been probably 6 years since he was on our show, but he's been a guest on our program a couple of times, and he basically came on and apologized for what he did as Reagan's budget director. And Stockman talked about this philosophy called starve the beast. The beast, of course, being government. See, the whole essence, the whole core of Reaganism was that noble idea of the Enlightenment. That George Washington had 3 horses shot out from underneath him, fighting to create the United States of America. That noble idea that Thomas Jefferson and 53 other men literally signed their death warrants when they signed the Declaration of Independence. Every single one of them was declared within hours, was declared a traitor to England, and a price was put on their head. They had bounties. If you killed them, you got paid. And many of them died as a result of that, or lost everything. That country that was created, however imperfectly, obviously it was terribly imperfect at the beginning, but it still was a big jump up from 1770s England. But in any case, that country under Reaganism is bad. America, bad. This is the essence of Reaganomics, the essence of Republican theology. Government is the beast. All government does is take money from rich people and give it to poor people. And that's Marxism. That's evil. That's wrong. That's communism. You can't have that. And so how do you kill the government if you hate the government? If you hate America, as Reagan and Republicans generally do, how do you kill it? How do you kill the country? Well, David Stockman's solution was you starve it. What do you starve it of? You starve it of, its lifeblood, which is money. You starve the beast. Well, how do you do that? Well, first you cut taxes radically. So you cut income to the government. Now, you lie to the people and you say, we've got this magic formula that Art Laffer came up with on the back of a napkin at a cocktail party in the White House called the Laffer curve. And this is like our new science that says that if we cut taxes on rich people, they will use that extra money to build factories and put people to work. And back in 1981, when this was first pitched to us, there were a lot of people who said, oh, well, I guess that makes sense. Go ahead, do it. And Reagan cut the top tax rate from 74% down to 28%. And what did all those rich people do with all that money that they suddenly had? They put it in the Caymans. They put it in Switzerland. They put it in Panama. We're getting the Panama Papers now, right? All the major banks are in there. This should be the news story. But in any case, so you starve the beast. You cut off its source of money. And then once you've cut off its source of money, the government starts running enormous debts. When Reagan came into office, our debt had never been over $1 trillion. It was in the neighborhood of $800 billion, which is, in today, we spend more than that so far in the war in Iraq. That was the entire national debt was less than $1 trillion when Reagan came into office in 1980. When he left office, it was pushing $3 trillion. It was 2 and change. He tripled the national debt. And that was not an accident. There was actually a methodology to that. And if you want to see the actual numbers on this thing, I encourage you to go to reaganbushdebt.org. I'm looking at the website right now, reaganbushdebt.org. And it says, welcome to reaganbushdebt.org. This site tracks the current Reagan-Bush debt. The Reagan-Bush debt is how much of the national debt of the United States is attributable to the presidencies of Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, and the Republican fiscal policy of borrow and spend. As of Wednesday, May 11th, 2016, at 7:03.22 a.m. Central Time, the current Reagan-Bush debt is $17,983,828,614,590. Which means that in the total of 20 years, these three presidents have led to the creation of 93.6% of the entire national debt. And they give the calculation details and how to do this, and only 8% of the whole debt of 240 years of the existence of the United States, only 8% of our debt came from Democratic policies. So this was intentional on the part of the Republicans. Starve the beast. Run up a huge debt. And then once you got the debt, you can start screaming about, oh, my God, countries that are in debt, families that are in debt, they can't pay their bills. Countries that are in debt, they can't pay. Donald Trump kind of put a pin in that the other day when he said, well, you can always print money. No, countries can't go bankrupt. But, you're not supposed to say that, Donald. I promise you he won't say it again. As he turns himself into Ronald Reagan. And one of the things that they wanted to destroy was the national parks, because after all, national parks are protected land that millionaires and billionaires could be mining, gold or copper or silver, or drilling oil, or, turning into theme parks for ATVs, and, God only knows what could be done. Think what they could do if Disney owned Yellowstone, right? So here's this story in the District Sentinel. The headline, National Parks to Seek Out and Recognize Corporate Funding Under New Plan. Now, back in 2011, there was a guy by the name of John Jarvis. He was the director of the National Park Service. As a result of what he did, he was stripped of his authority to deal with the service's ethics office in order to have monthly ethics training sessions. What did he do? He had a private meeting with Coca-Cola, and then he came forward and he said, let's start allowing plastic bottles into Yellowstone, into our national parks. Right now they're banned because, it's trash. So, 5 years ago, that happened and this guy gets punished for it. Now the National Park Service is $11 billion behind because the Republican Congress has refused to fund them. Starve the beast. And so the National Park Service now, the Associate Director for Civic Engagement, Jeff Reinbold, told the Washington Post that going to corporations and asking for money and then putting their name on things, and not just corporations, rich people as well, like the Koch brothers. Some park superintendents will be asked to raise up to $5 million in individual gifts. In other words, they're going to go to every park and say, okay, as the superintendent of this park, your job is not just to supervise the park, it's also to ask rich people to give you money. And this is all because because Congress, Republican Congress, refuses to fund our national parks. We have forgotten the difference between public and private. We are seeing the complete takeover of the public space. This goes back to the whole starve the beast thing. It's why Republicans hate government, because government does things for the public good, and they want to do things for the good of the top 1%. Period. End of sentence.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.